Hello, kindergartners. It's Mrs. Balatash, and today we're going to make a kind of a messy day. We're going to talk about paper and changing paper. Before we do, I want to back up a little bit because a few weeks ago, I took some sawdust and I added some glue to it, and I made like a little log of sawdust and glue. And boys and girls, look at this. This is what it looks like now. And it is so strong now, I cannot break it. Remember what it looked like before? It was just a pile of dust, sawdust. But when I added the glue to the sawdust and made it into a shape, now I changed the material, right? Now this sawdust is hard. It's like particle board. Look how similar they are. Mine is not pushed and squished as much as this one is, but they're basically the same. So you can use dust, sawdust, and glue and make something strong. So that's what we're going to think about and do today with paper, because I have a bunch of paper and I don't think this paper is very strong. But is there something we could do to make it stronger and to make things out of paper? The first thing I want you to do is I want to make sure that you have a pile of paper strips. You could come from like a magazine, it could be recycled paper, but you're going to need a whole bunch of strips, okay? And I am going to use glue for my paper mache paste, but you could have also used flour and water. So I have about a cup of glue and a little bit less than a cup of water, and I'm going to mix them up and make a thinner glue. Okay, so I've got a little tray to do my work on. You don't have to have a tray. You could have a placemat, or you could have just a kitchen table that you can just wash down when you're finished. I also have some water, just a little bowl of water so I can clean my fingers, or you can just have a wet washcloth so that your hands won't get all ooey gooey. They're gonna get ooey gooey. And I have a bowl. And what I want us to do is I want us to take a piece of paper like this, and now I'm going to dip it into this glue and water mixture. Now, I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it over my bowl. See how I did that? And I'm going to take another piece of paper and I'm going to dip it in, and I'm going to get some of the glue off. I don't want it to be too wet. And I'm going to now go across the other way. I went across one way, now I'm going to go on the other side. And so what's happening to the paper right now? It's getting pretty wet, isn't it? It's really soaking up the glue. And if I left the paper in the glue, it would probably sink to the bottom. I don't think it would float. All right, so now I've got the bottom done. Now what I'm going to do, boys and girls, I'm going to go around the outside of my bowl. And you guys are just going to keep doing this right with me, right? You're just going to work on this right alongside me. As I put my strips on, you put your strips on. So I'm going to go around the outside here, all around the bowl. I want to go all around the bowl. I like the feeling of glue. It's kind of slippery. I kind of like that feeling. All right. And one of the things I'm doing is I'm kind of rubbing the paper as it goes to make sure that it all stays flat. Okay, I'm going to put another one here. Okay, so now do you see I've gone all the way around the bowl. And I'm going to go down a little farther on my bowl as well. I don't want to get it too wet. It's got to be pretty wet, but not soaking wet. I'm gonna go all the way around my bowl again. And I want you just to do this right along with me. Get your strips of paper all wet. Get them nice and ooey gooey. Let them absorb and soak in the gluey water. There you go. And then I want you guys to make a prediction, right? You saw what happened to my sawdust when I put the glue in it and it dried. What happened to the sawdust? It became really hard, right? I want you to make a prediction. What do you think is going to happen to the paper? Now I'm going to put another layer of paper over it. Now my first strips of paper were really wet. So I don't want my next strips to be as wet. So I'm not going to put very much glue on them. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue, just a little bit. And I'm going to soak up some of the glue that's already on the bowl, already on the paper. So a little bit of glue. And I'm going to soak up I'm just going to let the paper just absorb, soak up that paper, the glue. All right, now I'm going to go around the sides again. I'm going to get most of that glue off. Here I go. I'm going around the sides again. I'm going to go all the way. I want to do 2 layers of paper. 2 layers. When I put 2 layers, it's going to make it stronger, I think. That's my prediction. What's your prediction? Do you think more than 1 layer will make it stronger, or do you think it'll make it weaker? All right, okay. Ooh, I want to make sure that's flat. I don't want it to stick out like that. Okay. Ooh, this feels so good. I like feeling things like this, wet and kind of a little slimy. I think it's kind of feels good. Okay. Now that's my second layer around, but I'm going to go down all the way to the bottom of the bowl. Okay, looking pretty good. I hope you guys are having fun. I like it. I'm going all the way around the bowl, making sure it's completely covered. And my last pages, my paper is pretty gluey, so I'm trying to soak up some of the glue that's still on there. All right, it looks pretty good. So boys and girls, I want you to have at least 2 layers of paper. You could do more. The more you do, the stronger it will be. Don't do more than 4 or 5 because then it'll take so long to dry. All right, so here is my wet paper mache bowl. Boys and girls, I made this one last week. And I used some newspaper to make it, and I used some glue, just like I did this time. And look, this used to be paper that was flimsy. And now the bowl is gone. There's no bowl inside. It's just the paper. So just like the sawdust and the glue, we could change the properties of the paper. We could take weak, flimsy paper, and by adding some gluey water, we can make it turn into a shape that is strong. So get out your science notebook and go to the page that says, how can paper be used to make things? And I wrote, we used paper and glue to form a bowl. And boys and girls, I drew a picture of the bowl, and those lines are supposed to be the paper mache. I had a great time with you today, Cougars. Today is our last day on wood and paper. Next week, we're going to start rolling things around and making them move. All right, see you next week.